The scientific community released a report that proves, beyond a doubt, that the Earth is getting warmer. This global warming is caused by things you grown-ups do, and by the things you don't. If drastic measures aren't taken soon, by the time I grow up, there won't be any fish left in the sea. Rainforests and clean air will be a thing of the past. The polar ice caps will be gone. Oceans will rise. Entire countries will disappear. Life will change in ways you can't even imagine. There could be famine, worldwide epidemics. Life expectancy will be lower. And we're not just talking about the future. We're talking about my future. But this is no surprise. You adults have known about this for years. And though you could have done something about it, you haven't. You can say, it's not my problem. You can say, I won't be around in 50 years. But from now on, you can't say I didn't know. Starting today, the lines are drawn. You have to choose sides. Either you're for my future, or you're against it. You're a friend, or you're an enemy. I may just be a kid today, but tomorrow will be different. This is the last time I'll be talking to you adults. You've had your chance to fix this problem. Now we have ours. We won't be cute, we won't be patronized, and we will not be denied our future.
Join the energy revolution, Greenpeace. So this is literally the equivalent of Maoist youth brigades jogging down the street with their red flags.
And if you see the face of this child, which is a malevolent, bitter, unwashed face,
yes,
you can see what thoroughly nasty, indeed Nazi, propaganda this is. The Greenpeace now is no better than the Nazi movement, and they're behaving in exactly the same way, using very, very similar propaganda techniques. It's an extremely worrying trend. In Europe, you may be interested to know they're planning to set up an environmental criminal court. And the aim of that environmental criminal court will be that anyone who dares to say, like you or me, that global warming has been oversold and is going to happen, but not as much as the official documents say, can be arrested using the European arrest warrant, which has already seen 3,000 British citizens taken without evidence from their beds at 3 in the morning and deported to various European countries by the European dictatorship. You know, we are already a police state. It's already happening to us. And this environmental criminal court is about to be set up, and that too will have the powers to issue arrest warrants against British citizens without evidence under the European arrest warrant procedure. That's what is happening here, and the UN is working on similar structures internationally, so that anyone who in future goes on convincing people scientifically that this is nonsense, using scientific arguments and facts and data, and as you've rightly said, being proven right time and again when the true believers in the new religion of global warming are proven wrong, people like us can, and not very long from now, unless we really fight this, will be arrested, locked up, and if James Hansen gets his way, killed for what he calls high crimes against humanity, for which the penalty is death. He has been calling, in effect, for the death penalty for those who dare to disagree with him on global warming. That is how serious this is. We are dealing with people who, in their increasing desperation, can no longer rely upon argument because their case has never been based on it. Instead, they can only rely on force, and it's force that they're now using increasingly to try to kick people into line. That's what the EPA is doing. That's what Obama wants to do. So far, the only real obstacle worldwide to this new dictatorship, and it is a Nazi dictatorship, it's just as nasty as that, it's the same techniques, it's the same arbitrary arrest.
Well, Hitler was an environmentalist.
He was indeed, But he was therefore perfectly willing. He was perfectly willing to issue such arrest warrants, and I'm quite sure that once this European Environmental Criminal Court gets going, and I know there have been talks at the highly secretive European Commissariat, the commissars who decide our future now and make all our laws. Our parliament is just a rubber stamp. It has no independent powers. These things are all decided by unelected commissars in Europe. They all wish to extend their powers and influence over us.
Lord Monckton, stay there. Final segment with you straight ahead. More key information. Final segment with Lord Christopher Monckton. We've got a journalist coming on later to get into the fact that we're seeing more and more U.S. troops killed, even though the war is supposedly over in Iraq. Lord Monckton, I want listeners, especially new ones, to understand we're not joking around about this. They're openly saying they want to arrest us. They want to send people to prison for the tiniest of environmental crimes. This is their tyranny. We were talking there in the break. You talked about how they tried to prosecute and use the terrorism unit for whoever leaked the East Anglia emails, proving they knew it was a fraud.
Yes, the university called in the police, and the police sent in not an ordinary investigating unit, the IT unit or something like that. They sent in the domestic terrorism unit of the Serious Organised Crime Agency. Because now, in Britain, anyone who dares to say or do anything that questions global warming, even on the soundest of scientific bases, is regarded as a terrorist, a threat to the state, and somebody who should be locked up. And the only reason they haven't locked us up yet is that they know they aren't yet quite far enough in control of this subject to get away with it. They know that if this goes anywhere near a court of law, and it would still have to, for the moment anyway, then they would have to produce evidence, and of course we could then produce the evidence showing by measurement and observation that global warming is not going to be a global crisis. The moment a court hears that evidence, it's going to say, how can you possibly accuse people who are producing serious scientific evidence like this of being terrorists?
But let's stop right there. Let's stop there briefly because we're almost out of time. I mean, if you had to simply in 1 minute state free humanity's position and the position of these tyrants, how much trouble are they in?
They are very close to losing it in every way. They've lost the argument, they've lost the public, they've lost the debate, they've lost the United States. I think they've still lost China, notwithstanding the concession on Tibet, which I'm quite sure was connected with climate change, and it is a disgrace. They've lost all these things, and in their growing desperation, they are thrashing around and lashing out in all directions. But that is what a dying beast does. And we may perhaps be, if not months, perhaps years away from seeing this beast finally die. And this will do the international extremist left great harm. They should not have backed the wrong horse on this one. They should have got off long ago, but they stayed with it, and now they're about to come last in the race. And once again, there is still the chance that we can keep the world free and democratic. And the main reason why is that your Congress and your Constitution stands, whether Obama likes it or not, whether anybody else likes it or not, in the way of anyone who dares to take not only your freedoms as Americans, but our freedoms in the rest of the world away. So God bless your Congress, God bless your Constitution, and God bless America.
In closing, I would just ask you this. I mean, looking at this, if we're able to defeat them, 20, 30 years from now in history, they will be known as phase 2 of the Nazis, repackaged in a liberal shell that failed. They'll be known as the eugenicists they really were.
That's quite true. What is curious is that the policies they advocate would inevitably have the consequence of increasing the world's population dramatically. If you make people poorer, and that's what their measures intended to do, then you raise their populations. Make them richer, as our policies are intended to do, and their populations stabilize. They've got it completely wrong, as they have everything else in this debate.
And the Royal Commission on Population in '49 actually found that. They said we can industrialize these people, but that would make them a military threat. So we'll just let them live in squalor and have 8 kids, and just hope that most of them die. And now they want to cut the carbon off to these people, and then hope that'll cause an implosion. Lord Monckton, thank you so much for spending time with us. Scienceandpublicpolicy.org is the website. We'll talk to you again soon.
Real pleasure. God bless America.